Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Hakuoki Edo Blossoms, and we are starting Yamazaki's route today. Oh wait, we can't do record of service. I forgot. We have to go new game. I'm like, I forget how to do this. Okay. Boop, boop. Yes. Yes. Yamazaki. I have high expectations for this route because his route was so adorable in Kyoto Winds, so. Prologue. I wonder if he gets a makeover. They should cut the rat tail. That's all I'm saying. Cut the rat tail. You know what it is? It's not that Yamazaki's not adorable. It's that they just gave him a bad haircut is what it is. It's like, you could have fixed his haircut and made it a little bit better. And like Yamazaki would be amazing. But anyway. Winter 1864. In order to find my father, with whom I'd lost contact, I, Spacey Yukamura, visited Kyoto. In that city, I bore witness to a horrifying secret hidden within a group called the Shinsengumi. The Fury, a creature with white hair and crimson eyes. Luckily, I was saved from the vicious clutches of the Furies by the members of the Shinsengumi. That came out weird. Shinsengumi. I was like, Shinsengumi. I don't know why that came out weird when I read it. Because I had discovered the Shinsengumi's secrets, it was proposed that I live with the Shinsengumi men, since they were also searching for my father. I was given the position as the commander's page, and thus my life with the Shinsengumi began. I'd heard rumors, well, whispers really, that the Shinsengumi were little more than a bunch of crooked ronin, but my life with them proved otherwise. Their commitment to protect the safety of Kyoto made them the last of a dying breed, true samurai. Among the men was the kind-hearted Yamazaki, who often swapped between the roles of scout and medic with equal proficiency and diligence. Because I held some experience with assisting my father in his clinic, Yamazaki and I spent a lot of time together overseeing the Shinsengumi's infirmary. A group of demons named Chikage Kazama, Kyuju Hamagiri, and Kiho Shiranui continually sought to interfere with the Shinsengumi at every opportunity. It was later revealed to me that my ancestry traced back to demon lineage, which made me the target of their ire. Luckily, Yamazaki had kept me safe. And lost his life many times, but not this time. There was no stopping the tide of change, however. The fate of the shogunate was threatened by the Satsuma Choshu, which later culminated in an inevitable battle for control of the nation. During the Battle of Toba-Fushimi, I found myself separated from the Shinsengumi, and only with Yamazaki's help had we survived the battle's aftermath. Unfortunately, the battle ended in favor of the Satsuma Choshu, and the Shinsengumi were driven from Kyoto. They set sail for Edo in hopes of a new start. I do not remember that CG. The last one they showed, I don't fucking remember that. Did that happen? I don't remember that. Hakuoki, Edo Blossoms. Chapter 1. February 1868. Baby-faced assassin. The Shinsengumi was humiliated at the end of the Battle of Toba-Fushimi, which initiated their hurried departure from Kyoto to Edo over a 2-month span. A new headquarters was established in an old mansion previously owned by one of the former shogunate's Hatamoto, which was where we resided. It had been 4 years since I set foot back in Edo. As far as homecomings went, it was anything but. Unlike when I had first arrived in Kyoto, I never quite settled into the compounds here, and my mind often swirled with anxious thoughts. I suppose it was natural, however. The principal reason being that Kondo, our beloved chief, was being hospitalized for a serious gun wound in a clinic managed by Dr. Masumoto. As for Hijikata, he had been tirelessly bustling to and from the offices of shogunate officials in Kondo's stead. As for Okita, he had been under strict orders from Dr. Masumoto to recuperate from a serious bronchial illness, giving us even more to worry about. The Shinsengumi were licking their wounds during this fragile period, with both their chief and commander noticeably absent from their new base of operations. On top of having to adjust to new surroundings and adapt to the tensely rising political climate, the sting of defeat was still fresh in everyone's mind. I wondered to myself what would become of the shogunate and, by extension, the Shinsengumi. It was a sentiment that hadn't needed repeating, but became increasingly impossible to ignore. We couldn't let our grief fester, and so we carried on, welcoming the dawn of the new year with open arms. I was beginning to grow accustomed to my life here, despite the freezing weather.
Captain Harada and Captain Nagakura, sir! Do you actually feel confident about our current situation?
I was sauntering the outskirts of the compound's courtyard when I noticed someone yelling.
Hey, I never said that, did I? Believe me, I got some words about him myself. What do you plan on gaining by bitching about it here? We haven't even finished recruitment yet. But...
Oh, hello everyone. Is something the matter? I stumbled into a heated argument. I chimed in out of concern, hoping to diffuse it. Harada, for some reason, fidgeted uncomfortably next to me, responding under his breath. Oh, Spacey, it's you. Well...
Oh, Yukimura's in the page. Perfect timing. Doesn't everything going on bother you?
Page, an assistant to a samurai or noble, traditionally a young man. I'm a young man. Who's dating one of the other young men in the combat. That doesn't seem weird to anybody. You know what? They're like, you know what? Women aren't allowed here, so whatever you gotta do. Bother me? In what way?
I mean, take a look around. Since the minute we set foot in Edo, the chief and commander have been nowhere to be found. So we're all just running around like headless chickens without anyone to give us orders. How long do you expect us to last like this? How's this supposed to make us feel? Has the chief just written us off since we got our asses kicked?
Of course not. The Shinsengumi is the most important thing in the world to both Kondo and Hijikata. In all honesty, it wasn't as though I weren't always anxious from the perceived stagnation with all of our commanding officers absent. But this was the first time, in my 4 years with the Shinsengumi, that I'd seen discontent expressed so openly, especially to the captains. The only reason for Kondo's absence is because he's still recovering, not for lack of trying. Hijikata, too, is working as often as he can to gather shogunate approval so that Shinsengumi can mobilize as quickly as possible.
But you can see it, can't you? Everyone here's starting to get fed up. You'd think that after a huge defeat like ours, our leaders would be here, picking up the pieces and helping their men recuperate.
They're doing the best they fucking can. They can't be everywhere. Well...
Doesn't any of this make sense to you? I bet anything that, if you really looked into the mirror, you'd... Whoa there! Shut your mouth! I've heard enough from this limp prick. What?
Nagakura grabbed the two young warriors by the scruff of their necks. I know I was reading them with the same voice, but it was like soldier, infantryman. I'm like, I don't know, whatever. The scruff of their necks and dragged them away.
Captain, what are you doing? Can it, Pipsqueak? You haven't spouting bullshit all afternoon. Give my ears a rest. You know, you probably wouldn't whine so damn much if you let the cool, refreshing taste of sake slide down your gullet. You won't feel a thing.
I appreciate the concerns you're voicing, though. But it's easy to let fear grab a hold of you. So in the future, just keep that shit to yourself. I'd hate for people to start thinking less of you.
With that said, gentlemen, who wants to hit the red light district? I could use a little company, if you know what I mean. First round's on me.
And I'm standing right here like, bye.
Okay, I will, sir, but my neck!
Sorry about that, Spacey. A nice drink sounds perfect right about now. But trust me, I totally understand where they're coming from. We might be able to keep them occupied for now, but who knows how much longer these guys will last. Sorry, Vintage. The tone of Harada's prediction made me question to whom he may have been referring. Harada nodded curtly before skipping off to join the boys heading into town, and my eyes dropped to the floor wistfully. If my memory served me correctly, those two soldiers were members of the 1st Division. Okita would never have tolerated the behavior. In fact, I imagine Okita's eyes thinning with cynicism before brutally scolding them and threatening to kill them. In a way, had he lived, also wouldn't have entertained that pervasive doubt plaguing our men, and instead would have diffused it with kind reassurance. But here in Edo, Neither were with us. I know, like, Okita's basically dead. Would you stop rubbing it in my motherfucking face? The game's like, Okita's basically dead. Stop it! Stop it, game. Stop. It's not nice. Why do you hate Okita? What did he ever do to you? Aside from threaten to kill you, but we found that endearing. Things were changing, for better or worse, faster than we can cope. Ever since the Battle of Toba Fushimi, the cracks were beginning to show in the Shinsengumi. I felt hopeless, watching all my preconceptions melt about the group, so I ambled back inside the compounds, slumped and confused. Yeah, but Yamazaki's alive right now. He never is otherwise. Oh, okay, he was alive in Okita's route. But that's like the one other time. Regardless of how depressed I was beginning to feel, there was no shortage of chores to complete. He probably died at the end of Okita's route, I'm just saying. The only other pages in the Shinsengumi, Soma and Nomura, were often tending to both Kondo and Hijikata as guards away from the compounds, which meant, of course, that I was left behind to handle the growing list of responsibilities alone. Pardon me, Heisuke, are you awake in there? Days were shorter during the winter season. Before I knew it, an amber sunset shone from the corner of the windowsill behind me in the hallway. I finished folding each of the warriors' clothes and was visiting each room to drop them off. Your kimonos are dry, so I went ahead and folded them for you. Ah, sweet, thanks. Mind leaving them there for me? Heisuke seemed distracted, shifting his eyes uneasily towards his folded hands. On closer inspection, however, I saw a leather-bound notebook laid on the floor. Beside it was a pile of what looked to be shredded tree roots, ground and sifted onto the floor. Could that be... Is that Ishida medicinal powder? Ishida medicinal powder, a powdered medicine that was manufactured and sold by the family of Toshizo Hijikata. It claims to cure broken bones, internal bleeding, muscular strains, and lacerations. He's a fucking snake oil salesman. No, I know we're an Ito and all, but I'd never use that stuff. I met with Dr. Masumoto last week, and he showed me how to make this. If I'm not mistaken, it's a suppressant intended for mitigating bloodlust symptoms in a fury. Oh, Sonnen, I miss you, because you're going to be evil in this path, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry we failed you. Oh, good evening, Sonnen. Perhaps good morning would be more fitting. The Fury Corps assumed their duties at sundown. Like everything else following our return to Ito, the Fury's predicament hadn't improved. Considering how severely Shinsengumi forces were depleted after their defeat, the Fury Corps were the sole defensive unit still capable of fighting. With morale at an all-time low, the Furies were entrusted with guard duties around the compounds. Hold. Sorry. It's allergy pill taking time. So I had to do that. I didn't want to, listen to me trying to swallow. Like choking down a pill. Anyway. Morning, Toto. Synthesized more of that medicine, have you? Well, for me, I don't have much of a choice, do I? That was too girly. Anyway. I expect its fix to work only temporarily, as fighting the inevitable is a futile effort. Oh, come on! That's not true at all. Sonnen had clearly struck a nerve with Heisuke, the latter of whom thinned his eyes scathingly. However, Sonnen was unfazed by his gesture and slumped his shoulders. Very well, then. I carry no desire to comment upon the actions taken by you and Yamazaki. Susumu Yamazaki, during the Battle of Toba Fushimi 3, he had drank the water of life in order to become a fury and face Chikage Kazama in battle and not fucking die, because he dies in every other route, so. Do as you will, but heed my words. You're wasting your time. Yamazaki... Is Yamazaki taking this medicine as well? Oh, well, I kind of clued him on the medicine, just in case anything happens. But you don't have to worry. He might have become a fury recently, but he doesn't look like he's showing symptoms yet. I see. Because I had been standing presently in front of Sonnen and Heisuke, I thought it distasteful to show relief, but it was still something to celebrate. I have to, his voice is so deep, I don't know if I can do it anymore, but anyway.
To end my life and enter a lonesome darkness. None of that matters.
I immediately recalled a memory of the battlefield. Yamazaki had willingly consumed the water of life in a valiant effort to keep himself and Hijikata safe. This was unbeknownst to everyone else, and so Yamazaki resumed his duties and lifestyle as usual, despite the punishing side effects of his affliction. Because the watch operated primarily in the shadows of night, no one, save for the captains, noticed anything different about his behavior.
That's true, because everybody else is considered dead. I mean...
So what you're telling me is, in all the other routes, Yamazaki isn't really dead. They're just telling us he's dead because he's actually a fury.
Wouldn't that be great? Yay! In a way, he's not dead. He's a fury, guys, and they're just keeping it from us for some fucking weird reason. Shh! Just let me have it and make myself feel better.
The Watch, an organization that monitored internal Shinsengumi affairs and conducted external covert reconnaissance, and they reported directly to Commander Hijikata. I took notice, however, that he frequented the compounds less and less often during the day, which I couldn't help but feel forlorn about. For now, his focus was solely on escorting Hijikata at night, bouncing between meetings with the Shogunate vassals without a moment of respite. There was no one to blame, of course, but it bore mentioning that the mood was sullen without him. I cupped my hands over my heart. I pined to hear Yamazaki's soft, gentle voice. In such a period of unrest for the Shinsengumi, surely Yamazaki's disposition and smile would be warmly received, if not dearly needed.
See, and this is why they all fell apart, because Yamazaki's dead in every other battle.
Of course, far be it from me to ask him to abandon his duties, which were bigger than anything here. But was it too much to ask for just a glimpse of him? Was missing him such a crime? Bird, I love you, but your toenails fucking hurt on my neck. I need to move my... Okay, you can snuggle, but you have to snuggle on my head. Can you snuggle on... No, I'm sorry! I love you, come back! It's just your toenails fucking hurt, so I don't want them on my neck. So if you could, like, snuggle, but keep your feet on my hoodie, that'd be great. Dario's having a conversation with the bird. Come back! Come here! What you doing? I ran through a mental checklist of my remaining chores, of which there were none. I had entered the wee hours of the morning without realizing. Come back! I miss you! It's not the same without you! I just wanted to fix my thing. You want some drinks? Gotta lure him back with alcohol. There's really nothing left in here.
No, God. You're really mad that I just adjusted my sweater, aren't you? You won't even come back for alcohol. Fuck. He's pissed. No, he's over there eating.
I dozed off coolly in between chores. Before I knew it, dawn was breaking from the east. I crept out of bed, tiptoeing so as not to wake any of the men, before walking towards the entrance gate. Should be any minute now. Normally they would have arrived at this time. With each word I spoke, a plume of white vapor followed soon after. The frost was piercingly cold, and my eyes shifted nervously as I listened for any audible signs of people approaching. At last, I heard the footsteps of what sounded like a pair sauntering back to the compound. Oh, welcome back, Hijikata, Yamazaki.
Yukamura, were you waiting up for us again? Didn't I tell you not to wait up for us? Keep it up, and next time we see you, you'll be a block of ice.
Yeah, but look at how he's looking at us. He's like, oh,
he's looking at us with this endearing, like, you're the cutest thing ever face.
I know we are. I apologize for worrying you, but I couldn't help but hope that the two of you returned safely. Hijikata stuck his foot into the door of every Bakushin office in Edo, keeping Yamazaki right behind him as a guard, which kept them well until morning. I had to repay them for all their diligence, especially considering how exhausted they must have been. I took a deep bow in front of them, to which Hijikata responded with a wry smile.
They could be related with their dark hair and their... I mean, obviously, like, his is brown hair and his is black hair, but they have purple eyes. They both have purple eyes. Nobody else has the same color eyes. I mean, like green, but different shades. They have the same color purple fucking eyes. It's the same! It's kind of freaky. It's not natural. Anyway. Okay.
I've prepared a kettle of warm tea and breakfast for the two of you. Please enjoy before you rest.
For crying out loud. Well, guess I gotta thank you for putting all that effort in, kid. Alright, Yamazaki, let's get to it. You're probably starving. You haven't eaten since yesterday. Yamazaki hasn't eaten since yesterday. And he's like, no, thank you, sir. I'm quite all right. In fact, I'm rather beat. I believe it's time for me to get to bed.
Wait, what? For a second, Yamazaki's brow furrowed, and he scurried away before responding. I said, wait. Wait! Perhaps because the conversation I had with Sonnen and Hastegate was a foreboding prediction, I was overcome with a sudden bout of anxiety, causing me to grab a hold of Yamazaki's arm instinctively. Oh,
Sorry, but would you mind letting go of me? I'm a little too tired for this right now.
but you have to eat while you still can, or you're going to feel awful when you wake up.
Well, you've got a point.
Besides, Yamazaki, you of all people should know how important tending to your health needs are. Neglecting your health would be hypocritical for someone with your line of work.
Look at him, he's like, she's like your mom. Hey, Yamazaki, don't be so stubborn. Just shut up and accept her courtesy, would you? But, Commander, cut the bullshit. You're really telling me that you're too tired to put some food in your mouth? I'm headed to my room. That was not a pain in the ass. Why could you bring my food to me there?
Oh, sure. Immediately following Hijikata's departure, Yamazaki's eyes darted towards me. His expression, however, was more inviting than the previous moment.
Oh.
He was like, "What? I don't have time for this." And you're like, "But Yami," and he's like, "I know." He's like sitting there looking at you, Norman. Now he's like, "Hi." Wow.
My, always so worried. I'm going to return to my room as well, so I humbly request for my food to be brought like the commander's.
Okay, I'm bringing something that'll warm up your bones in no time.
Wow, Spacey, damn girl.
Oh, you meant food. That was what I was thinking. Thankfully, I had the foresight of placing a tray over their meal, so they weren't too cooled. I hurried over to Yamazaki's room, practically skipping through the hall as I found his door. So I mean, the fuck do you think? I invited you back here, but that doesn't mean. What are you doing? Why are you crawling down my arm? What the fuck are you doing? You're weird. I love you, stupid bird. I hurried over to Yamazaki. Okay, pardon me, Yamazaki. I brought your dinner here for you. Please enjoy. I neatly arranged a tray of rice porridge, steam rising from its warm bowl, with pickled vegetables and miso soup beside it. Hopefully, these flavors would be agreeable enough not to upset his stomach, and after stepping into the room, I placed the tray in front of him.
Forgive me for earlier.
Yamazaki appeared in far better spirits, beaming as he put his nose toward the food and wafted in its scents before bowing respectfully towards me.
Not even freezing weather can deter your kindness, and here I am, acting like a child. Please forgive me.
Oh, you have nothing to apologize for. I can only imagine how exhausted you must feel. But I couldn't help but notice how upset you looked. Is everything okay?
Even if I were to tell you, I can't imagine the subject sitting well for either of us in conversation.
But talking through issues might help you process whatever happened. So, please, if there's anything bothering you, I want to do whatever I can to help, even just a little bit. As I spoke, I was gently pouring tea from the kettle into Yamazaki's cup, and our hands softly grazed each other as I handed it towards him. Aww. His precocious eyes widened as we touched, which triggered him to begin speaking his piece.
There was nothing bothering me per se. It's just that I felt so helpless. Because of how aptly we were defeated in battle, some shogunate members are considering forming an alliance with members of the Empire of Japan. Our options are slowly thinning, as it doesn't seem like our forces could mobilize in time to retaliate. So maybe we need to compromise. Not another battle.
We need compromise, not another battle. That seems sensible, but a little optimistic.
Right. I agree with you. Even if we get ourselves into the negotiation room and avoid an all-out war, anything afterward is basically a surrender. I can only assume that a negotiation is a means for us to swallow their terms of surrender. It'd mean the dissolution of the shogunate, executions for the shogun and his lineage, and reparations. I'm not sure if they're considering all of this, but the Shogunate's painting a target on their back.
So, what's Hijikata's take on all of this?
You know him. He thinks we have no choice but to put all of our resources into resisting the Imperial tide and preserving the Shogunate. But no one's listening. No matter how much Commander Hijikata bows, explains, and maps out his entire strategy for them, he's brushed off by Bakushin who've never set foot on a battlefield in their lives. They're ignorant to our plight, and sometimes don't even read his documents.
Yamazaki's respect for Hijikata was clear as day. Suddenly, his earlier behavior was totally justified, and I could only imagine his feelings watching Hijikata be treated with such wanton disrespect. To see someone taunted for holding an opinion, I wondered to myself how agonizing it must have been for Yamazaki, who could only sit and watch. Yamazaki,
They've already given up. I would maybe understand if their viewpoint came from personal experience, but they weren't even there. What in the world were they even fighting for? We protected them. Why can't they protect us?
Yamazaki suddenly pounded his fist into the floor, shaking violently as his anger escalated. Wow, Yamazaki's getting angry. I didn't think that was possible. Which is not true, because like in the prequel season, he actually does get angry, and it's kind of actually adorable. You're like, look, you're so passionate. It's cute. You're adorable. My eyes fell to the floor. I stood helplessly, letting the gravity of his diatribe sit on my shoulders. If I may, perhaps some of the members who are against the fighting are merely trying to find stability in this period of transition. It seems like they're taking the defeat very close to heart and are waiting for the right time to retaliate.
So, what are you suggesting? So what? Are you suggesting that Inoue and the others died for nothing?
His eyes glowed with contempt. I hadn't seen such vitriol burning inside of him since we watched Inoue die in front of us.
I've got a bone to pick with the Yodo domain too, for betraying us. No matter what excuses they use. They closed their gates on us, costing us hundreds of valuable men and friends, just to save their own skins. Their fate was chosen. The Yodo planned for the Shogunate to dissolve all along, and they're trying to secure their future by allying with the goddamn Imperial Army.
Yamazaki balled his hand into tight fists, shutting his eyes as he condemned our former allies.
Every time my eyes close, I remember everything at Toba Fushimi. The stench of blood and gunpowder, the howl of rifles, and Inoue's body.
Could you stop bringing that up?
The blood. Oh.
You can hear, I don't know if you can hear it, but I can, like, there's a heart beating, and it's like, we're gonna get that, yeah.
Red blood.
Yamazaki. I stepped closer to him timidly, reaching my hand out before I saw his pupils stretch in dilation. Yeah, he's gonna... The next choice, I knew what the next choice was, but I was like, it's gonna be here when we're seeing him personally by ourselves, so. He clutched a hand over his chest, struggling not to heave in staggered, short breaths. Soon the veins in Yamazaki's forehead bulged, and he grimaced as he moved his hand over to his bicep, where he sunk his fingernails into his flesh. His gulp punctuated the room's tense atmosphere. Yamazaki! Yamazaki clawed at his throat before screaming aloud, vigorously scratching his skin in agony. There was something familiar about this scene. I remember my first night in Kyoto ever. I shuddered at the musty scent of blood evoked by the sight of Yamazaki's abject suffering. Surely he would overcome these symptoms. Yamazaki was different from the other Furies. Or at least, this is what I had told myself. The chances, however, were slim to none.
Get back! Yukamura!
Yamazaki seemed intent on gouging his heart out. I began to panic, watching his pain unfold without any idea of how to proceed. I decided to... This is the weirdest thing, because everything else they've kind of told you about the blood, blah, blah, blah. But I decided to give him my blood. Why would... That's not the normal logical conclusion you would do, but...
I'm fine. I have Dr. Masumoto's medicine.
With trembling hands, Yamazaki pulled a block of powder, wrapped in parchment, from his pocket. I recognized it as the same medicine Heisuke had. Although I hadn't seen it in its completed form, I was skeptical that it would be of any use. I had to make sure... Will that medicine work? I suddenly recalled Sanen's dismissal of the medicine. He called it a waste of time.
It won't work immediately, but perhaps in 30 minutes.
Every second moved at a glacial pace. Hundreds of beads of sweat pooled at the top of Yamazaki's forehead, inciting more panic from me. Would Yamazaki have to endure this pain for any longer? Could I honestly bear the thought of watching him writhe in agony without any possible solution?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I couldn't stand to watch a second longer. Give me a minute. There was no time to hesitate. I heard the hiss of metal as I steadily unsheathed my kodachi, hoping to soothe Yamazaki's pain however possible. And I stabbed him. The end. No, I'm just kidding. I felt a sting as I slit the kodachi across the back of my palm. His nose perked, sniffing with the fervor of a feral dog, fixating on the drops trickling down my arm. With a small grin, I calmly offered the hand to him, hoping his bloodlust would satiate. Yeah. Please, take it.
You sure?
Of course I am. If it helps you in any capacity, then that's all that matters to me. Please suck my blood. That's, oh, damn. And there's, please suck my blood. It's like you're begging a vampire, but also it sounds really inappropriate. Offering a Fury fresh blood was surely too sweet of a temptation to pass up. The tongue in Yamazaki's mouth seemed ready to flick out at a moment's notice, but he restrained himself. The moment his moist tongue met my hand, the rest of my body shivered like the ripple of water. There was a tepidness to its movement, as if it were scared to lick, but it imbued me with warmth. He was fighting the urge to lap up my blood, despite it being what he voraciously craved, and took mere sips. It's like delicate. It's like he's kissing the back of her hand, but he's totally like, licking her blood. Yamazaki, if you'd like, you could keep...
Stop. Just stop talking. Right now.
Okay. You could suck harder if you wanted. If I had uttered those words, then perhaps it would have set him off. So I stood there, waiting for him to finish drinking my blood and soothe all that had ailed him. February was drawing to a close. It would be some time before the spring brought with it rays of sparkling sunshine, so the wintry morning caressed us with a chill, tingling breeze.
Good morning, everyone! Seeing all you gathered like this today makes me realize how long it's been. Makes me realize my ass, Kondo. You got any clue how long you kept us hanging out here?
Calling it unrest would be an understatement, at this point, you know?
Men, what you may have heard is true. My absence has not only unsettled the balance here, but was partly responsible for a tragic loss in Toba Fushimi. A leader must own up to his mistakes, so please allow me to apologize for the egregious error.
He got shot! A bustling, whimsical energy fluttered through the lively voices echoing all around the compounds, filling it with a well-missed warmth. The topic of discussion, of course, was the return of Isami Kondo, the Shinsengumi's beloved chief, who had been seriously injured in Kyoto. He scanned his surroundings with thinned eyes, proudly beaming in front of his men. Welcome, Chief. What's the current status of recovery for your shoulder? I love you, Saito. Lines of worry furrowed on Saito's tired face, but Kondo resolutely answered with a smile.
No, I can't say I'm rearing to head back into the battlefield, but I can twist and turn it just fine. Or is this a challenge of some sort to assess my skill in combat? Ha! I could use the exercise.
Chief, you mustn't. Dr. Masamoto was very specific about not overexerting yourself.
But a little bout of sparring couldn't hurt.
Nope. Dr. Masamoto made it clear, Chief, that if you go off your treatment schedule, we'll have to do whatever it takes to stop you.
Hear that, Chief? Training is out of the question. Pity. I didn't think training would present too much risk.
Look at who you're training with. Maybe you train with me. I'll train with you! You won't struggle really hard to beat my ass. Just saying. Everyone in the room smiled in response to Kondo's playful pouting, myself included. With our chief and commander back, the Shinsengumi was fully assembled for the first time in months. It was the promise of hope in a despairing time, and luckily, it wasn't the only one who'd noticed. From the corner of my eye, I watched Yamazaki leaning against the wall with a grin on his face. The sight of Kondo returning is surely cause for celebration, right, Yamazaki? Indeed. And just having him around has inspired a jubilant air amongst our troops. It's why now, more than ever, the Shinsengumi must keep the chief safe, even if it means endangering our own lives. I never once questioned if I'd chosen the right path. Yamazaki uttered a sentiment that I, too, shared, and with my head held high, I smiled with him.
All right, enough of the chit-chat. Let's get to business, Kondo. All right, you are. Okay, everyone, gather around and listen up. Brings a tear to this old man's eye seeing all you welcome me so graciously, but I have more good news. What could it be, sir?
There's too many of the deep voices going on in here. I can't do this right now. Shimano was the first one to speak, amidst the group of men murmuring quietly, prompting Kondo to respond in a pointed, stern tone of voice.
As all of you are keenly aware, the Shinsengumi suffered terrible losses in our last battle. The Imperial Army is awoken, spirited by their rousing victory, and we have received word that they intend to head for Edo in a day's time. Gentlemen, we have official orders to lay siege in Kofu, ambushing all of the standing forces. From henceforth, the Shinsengumi shall temporarily be renamed the Kyoyo Regulatory Company.
Koyo Regulatory Company. That's it. I read it and I see the yo at in the K and I just read it like Kyo and it's Ko. I read it with the. My brain's putting letters in wrong places. Anyway. Ambushing soldiers in Kofu. That can only mean one place for us to go. The Kofu Castle. Exactly. Entering Kofu Castle is a tricky operation, as is tackling the number of men they possess.
Quite. Laying siege will be of no mean feat, and will require far more manpower than we have available.
Why is like all the voices that they're like all the same? Like, fuck. With Kondo's sudden order came the influx of questions, many of which casted doubt on the feasibility of organizing a large-scale siege. I gotta start using accents, so somebody's gotta have like fucking,
oh, I have a fake French accent.
Like, I gotta be like, somebody's gotta have a southern accent or something. Like, I gotta start doing like terrible fucking accents instead of just terrible voices. Jesus. Anyway. Nonetheless, Kondo answered them patiently. His shoulders relaxed in his loose-fitting clothing. It's like they're like, loose-fitting clothing because we're all gonna get new uniforms.
Fear not, my friends. Not only has the Shogunate endorsed us with nearly unlimited funds, but they're outfitting our men with the latest weaponry and fashion. If our mission to take Kofu Castle goes swimmingly, then our reward will be 10,000 koku.
What's koku? Anyway. That's money from back in the day, because it's not, I don't know.
10,000? Only daimyo usually handle that much koku. So, Chief, in other words, you're not only a daimyo, but a daimyo with a castle? If all goes as planned, of course.
But it won't.
What? Are you serious? So does that make us vassals to a lord? Woo! Glad I picked the right group to join.
Aspirations of becoming esteemed members of society were in no short supply to the fledgling members of the Shinsengumi. Oh, but Kondo, you kind of fuck everyone up. Damn. Kondo's dreams had always burned the brightest, and the room broke into uproarious applause. I feel really bad. I do, but he, like, dicks around and takes his sweet-ass time, and it's why, like, they lose, and it's like, you get a little too cocky, Kondo. Sorry. And you only get kidnapped and murdered because of Sanan. So, I mean, you know. Actually, he's still got... I mean, that still kind of happened even without Sanan, but I'm sure it just happened in a slightly different way. But, yeah. The celebrations following Kondo's announcement carried on for some time, allowing us in the room to bask in the glow of his accomplishment. Afterwards, the meeting ended, and most of the men filed out of the room in positive spirits. The Shinsengumi captains tentatively remained, however, discussing the night's events with both Sanan and Heisuke included. Interesting. Goyo Regulatory Company, eh?
So, in exchange for us busting our balls in Kofu Castle, we get 10,000 koku? Is any of that true?
What is that like? Yeah.
I'm sure all of us want to know. While all was going on, I bit my tongue because I didn't want to spoil the party, but you know how the saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is.
Of course, the thought has crossed each of our minds as the reward itself is rather puzzling. Especially if this time the order comes from the shogunate, all of whom had publicly declared their opposition to engaging with the imperial army.
So, they sent us to Kofu to handle the dirty work, and they washed their hands of the problem, huh?
You've all made some good points. I just want us to get the hell out of here since we're the ones who'll kick up a fuss until it fucking kills us. I love Hijikata. Regardless, though, rejecting the offer on the table is out of the question.
Wait, sir, are you implying that you intend on going through with their plan?
Yep. Ulterior motive or not, chances to capture a castle like Kofu don't come around twice. Holding ourselves up in that castle gives a damn good shot at taking it, no matter how many bastards they throw at us. Hell, we might even win the war.
Yeah, so for everyone on the fence about fighting, this is our signal of intent, so they'll join us, huh?
All of the captains began nodding to one another in solemn agreement. Thankfully, the tension seemed to ease, and the notion of hope was gradually being restored. Of course, success was no easy guarantee, but I fully support the endeavor. If it's an ample opportunity for us to reverse, it is an ample opportunity for us to reverse our fortunes, which, as you may know, haven't been great. And the shogunate may have taken this as an omen. So one defeat is enough. If we can rouse our men into a decisive victory, then it's the first step into changing the opinions about our competency. Because Yamazaki contributing to discussion was a rarity, everyone in the room fell silent. No sooner after he spoke had all of them nodded in small but enthusiastic support. They're like, yes, whatever Yamazaki says. If he's like, try again later, we'll try again later. It's like a magic 8-ball.
Well, if it were just the money we were talking about, I would have opposed it.
But if it's all part of the bigger picture, then I suppose the risk will be worth it. That is undeniable. And no better alternatives come to mind at the moment. If we're going to proceed as planned, then I shall prepare the Fury Corps accordingly. Around the room, some were in strong agreement. Others remained quiet but nodded sternly. Their collective murmurs hummed as Sonnen curled his lips into a satisfied grin. Before Sonnen could exit the room, however, Hijikata shook his head, beckoning his friend to stay back. Hold it, Sonnen. The Fury Corps is remaining in Edo. No questions. And what good would that serve? If absolute victory is what you require, wouldn't you agree that we're the most capable outfit? Look, there's no question of what the Fury Corps is capable of, but you can't operate under sunlight, plain and simple, so they're a liability.
Well, obviously marching with you isn't an option.
Besides, more warriors means increased visibility, which means jeopardizing the very existence of Furies. Fury Corps isn't leaving these compounds. Do I make myself clear, Sonnen? Hijikata's expression was unwavering as he spoke. I stood fearfully off to the side, watching Sonnen carefully contemplate a response with a glare. Crystal. And just as I predicted, however, you underestimate our potential for shaping history on the big stage. Sonnen warped his face in sadness, curtly spinning his heel to storm away from the room. The conversation amongst the captains, Hijikata and Kondo, carried on for just a little longer, but the hour was fast approaching midnight, and everyone bid farewell before retiring to their rooms. And when the clock struck 12, the only ones remaining were Hijikata, Heisuke, Yamazaki, and myself. The evening has slipped from our fingers. Where did the time go? Well, Toto and I are quite accustomed to this hour. You and the commander should get some rest soon, or tomorrow will be a struggle. Pfft, this is nothing. Actually, Heisuke, you got a minute?
What's up?
I mentioned this earlier, but I plan on leaving the Fury Corps behind for a march to Kofu. While we're out, I need you to be my eyes and ears on the Furies.
In other words, you're asking me to spy on Sonnen.
Kami, I'm sure you read between the lines of our conversation earlier, but Sonnen's been acting real antsy lately. Suddenly, Heisuke's expression dropped.
Got it. Now that you mention it, Sonnen's been talking more and more about going outside. It's peculiar.
Sir,
I shall work in tandem with Toto to keep watch over the Fury Core. Oh, shall I work in tandem with Toto to keep watch over the Fury Core? Actually, no. I need you to perform some espionage for me. It might be tough, but I'll need you in Kofu. And just like Shinpachi and Harada said, there's more to the story of the Shogunate offering us that castle. My guess is that it's a trap. But Yamazaki can't be in the sunlight for long. Save your concern, please. And just because I'm a fury doesn't preclude me from carrying out my duty, much less under the sun. Sorry. With Heisuke ordered to watch after the Fury Corps, and Yamazaki joining the Koyo Regulatory Company, that left me as the only one without instructions, and Hijikata then turned to face me. So, Yukimura, as for you... Wait, Hijikata, I have a favor to ask of you. Before he could finish his thought, I blurted out. I was well aware of my position here. Participating in battle was out of the question, given that I was more than a burden in the field. Even so, remaining silent was equally out of the question. Please allow me to accompany you to Kofu. Sorry, not happening. Weren't you there last time? You saw it. War isn't for the faint of heart, kid. You live by the sword and you die by the sword. We don't say that shit for fun. Most of all, a city girl like you has no place out there. Final answer. Hijikata was interrogating me with only his eyes, as if he were culling my memories from my face. I was like, what? In fact, my hands began trembling uncontrollably as the Battle of Toba Fushimi replayed in my head. Hearing Hijikata answer with such conviction reminded me of how little I had wanted to experience the stench and horror of that scene. And yet, it's weird because in Saito's route, he was like, go! And he just sent us off. But even so, beyond my fear of death, my trepidation to witness suffering beyond my imagination, there's something more pertinent pulling me to Kofu. It was... Still, I want to go. There's someone I'm worried about. He immediately reacted to what I've been getting at. There's someone I'm worried about. And he's like, I'm right fucking here! He's like, oh. I'm touched, Yukimura. With a troubled grin, Yamazaki darted his eyes towards me, timidly clearing his throat before facing Hijikata to speak. Commander, Toto, allow me to offer an option if I may. I too believe Yukimura would be better served joining us on the front. Seriously, Yamazaki? Spacey can't fight! Fighting is not the key to everything. And just because one cannot fight doesn't mean they are useless in the other facets of life. Someone wise told me this. Were those my words? As if he were reading my mind, Yamazaki looked at me from his peripherals subtly and winked. Aw! Her contributions may differ to ours, but she's a fighter nonetheless. She cares for all our injured. In fact, during the Battle of Toba Fushimi, she saved dozens of lives with her tireless work in the infirmary. So please, Commander, allow her to join us. Yes, please. I beg of you. I promise that I won't cause any trouble. I always cause trouble. Ugh. You know, your actual talent is grinding my goddamn gears. Hijikata, I love you. Your actual talent is in grinding my goddamn gears. But it's true. We need all the help we can get out there. Hijikata heaved a giant sigh, fed up with what I was sure he perceived as whining, and nodded at me. Remember, I can't guarantee your safety. If that's fine with you, then come along. Grinding my goddamn gears. Fucking love you, Hijikata. The conversation left me feeling flushed with heat, so I entered the courtyard, allowing the refreshing breeze to cool me underneath the twilight. I wandered for a minute, noticing the blades of grass poking through the stone on the floor as I ventured back towards my bedroom. Soon I saw Yamazaki sauntering similarly around the inner yard, and I called out to him, Hey, Yamazaki, thank you for earlier. What are you referring to? I meant about asking to include me in the caravan for Kofu. I was sure you'd be against it. Yamazaki had always expressed a dire interest in my safety and ensured that I was always protected. For someone like me, who had always thrust herself into near-death situations, I could likely credit the fact that I'm still alive to Yamazaki's vigilant sense of duty, which is more than I could have ever asked for. But
one question lingered in the back of my mind. It was puzzling to think that he would not only allow, but support my intention to leave for Kofu.
Right. Well, in the past, I likely would have been totally against it. I would have thought I would be foolish enough to allow her passage into such a treacherous place.
Then why?
Well, you said that you'd follow me anywhere, right?
A dazzling ray of moonlight glinted beautifully on Yamazaki's profile, revealing the smirk on his face. That's adorable! You said you'd follow me anywhere, right? My eyes dropped downwards, peeking at the fact that our hands were now touching one another. I wasn't sure if he initiated the contact or if I did. But he took the next step, interlocking his thin, slender fingers into mine. Our hands were intertwined, basking in the warmth of each other's skin.
I'm aware this does not bear mentioning, but we will witness all manner of atrocities in Kofu. All I can ask is that you put your all into saving lives, since I cannot do so openly in my condition.
Despair gripped my heart with abandon. I hoped he wouldn't dwell on such terrible things, but I bit my tongue. No matter how much I denied it to myself, Yamazaki belonged to another realm, embedded in shadows. Instead of focusing on the negative, however, I decided to offer a more comforting sentiment. I don't think that'll be the case forever, though. If humans could be turned into Furies, then maybe one day, Furies could eventually be transformed back to humans.
I see. Maybe indeed.
He neither confirmed nor denied my suggestion. He merely smiled, albeit faintly, off to the side. It was a melancholic smile, one intended to placate me. Out of instinct, I squeezed his hand tightly, clinging to its warmth like it was life-giving. That's so fucking cute! It's so cute, I'm gonna die! Aww. Yamazaki's route does not disappoint at this point. We're in chapter 2 already? Jesus. Fuck. His route's gonna be like fucking Sonins and like blast fucking through. March 1st, 1868. Thick blankets of snow covered the icy ground, but the Shinsengumi, now named the Koyo Regulatory Company, plowed through them en route to Kofu. I, however, was stuck in my own head far too often. My biggest concern was that our soldiers, numbering in the region of 200 strong, were hurriedly gathered together, unused to rigid military standards. Most of the men, out of an eagerness to fill their empty pockets with cash, lacked the skill, decorum, and morale befitting warriors of the Shinsengumi. If it were enough to get us into the castle, I thought, then all we would need to do is hold it, and never mind having to engage in full-scale conflict in Kovu. But nevertheless, I found it impossible to shake these worrisome thoughts during our convoy's travels. Days had passed since we last caught sight of Ito, and the Koyo Regulatory Company trudged along. My eyes meandered on the snow, which neatly covered areas around tree trunks and boulders.
Oh, there you guys are! Hey, Miss Yukamura!
Huh? Don't call me Miss so loud!
Yukamura-san. Look over here! I look good, don't I?
Nomura, before showing off your new uniform,
I know you think you should warn her first.
Yay!
Now, pardon his rudeness. I'll be sure to scold him for acting with such exuberant disrespect later on.
No, I don't mind at all, but... when did all of you change uniforms?
Oh, the commander ordered us to wear them. I told us to get used to wearing Western-style uniforms.
I love it. And I love the fact that they're all totally fucking different. They've got their own fucking colors. They got their own fucking, like, insignias and shit and, like, adornments. It's like, it's... Alongside the change in name, the Shinsengumi underwent a major aesthetic change as well. It was reflective of this new era, a shift that truly marked the step in becoming the Koyo Regulatory Company. Their new uniforms were sleek and stylish, forming to its wearer's body with a tight black fabric. As speaking to them from afar led me to believe that I was conversing with someone I'd never met before.
Is something the matter, Yukamura?
Oh no, just adjusting to the sight. Everyone looks so different.
Huh. I myself have not yet got accustomed to them. My, the times sure are changing, aren't they? The only exception, I suppose, are you and the chief. And Yamazaki.
True. In fact, I was asking Yamazaki earlier if he was going to change his uniform, but he said,
Come on! Yamazaki's like, I'm not important enough for the game developers to give me a change in uniform and or style. So, that's that.
I operate in the shadows. What purpose do I have in altering my appearance? He seemed a little opposed to the idea. In all honesty, I was a little disheartened. It was a tad selfish of me, but I was convinced that Yamazaki would have looked incredibly handsome in it, given his slender figure. Shimada must have caught on to my disappointment, forming a playful smirk with his lips. Oh, Shimada, you big teddy bear.
Well, when the war's over, why don't you choose something more appropriate for him?
Me? Pick out his clothes.
Sure. Between you and me, he would be thrilled to know that you've picked it out for him.
It had been quite some time since I'd meddled in trends related to fashion, so my confidence in the latter was rather lacking. Also, I'm wearing men's clothes, so. Shimada was nudging me with his friendly smile, and I couldn't help but purse my lips in contemplation. I wondered to myself, what sorts of clothes did men look best in?
Fucking uniforms! Have you seen them? Open your eyes, bitch!
These men are fine as fuck now. They were fine before, but they are just like, woo! Yeah. Hey, Soma, Nomura, if someone were to pick out your clothes for you, what do you think you'd want?
Me? First and foremost, it needs to be functional. First, I need headgear. Probably a chest plate. And maybe some kind of chainmail under the plate. Pfft. Well, I, of course, wouldn't want something flashy. Would want something flashy, but not too flashy, to intimidate my enemies.
Neither of their opinions were helpful, as was expected. I hear far more lively conversation on this side. Oh, Saito! I apologize for being too loud or disruptive. At ease. Being alert is one thing, but it would do us no good to let it consume us either. I love it. They just had to show us him in his uniform. God, I love you. You're so tiny and adorable. And like, it's so funny because like he looks so much tinier in his uniform, like, doesn't he? I mean, he was always short, but he looks so much more slender and delicate. I love it. But enough with the pleasantries. Yamazaki should be returning from his scouting mission shortly. I gulped, imagining how awkward it would have been had Yamazaki overheard our conversation, but just then, as if summoned by serendipity, the subject of our conversation appeared from the tip of the trail. Hello, Yamazaki. How'd everything go? Yamazaki? You look grave. What did you see? I have bad news. Everyone immediately froze. Yamazaki curtly averted his gaze, purposely restraining himself as he delivered his news in a hushed tone. The Imperial Army beat us to it. They've already seized and taken control of Kofu Castle. The end. Okay, well, anyway, I'm going to wrap this part up here. We could go a little bit longer, but this is about time, and I don't want to go too far over into Chapter 2, so I want to kind of make the most of his route up what we can. So I'm going to wrap this part up here, and we'll continue in the next part. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up, and subscribe to see more.